He arrived on the cobbles as a charming scaffolder with a dangerous secret, and left in the most shocking way imaginable. But now, the man behind one of Coronation Street's most talked about villains in recent memory has broken his silence, and what he's revealed about what comes next has fans absolutely buzzing. If you thought Theo Silverton's story was over, well, in a way it is, but the actor who brought him to life, he's only just getting started. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we cover all the latest Coronation Street news, spoilers, and cast updates right here every single week. And today's story is one you really don't want to miss. So let's set the scene, because if you've been following Coronation Street over the past several months, you already know that the show has been building towards something enormous. For weeks, no months, the producers had been teasing what they boldly dubbed Murder Week, a dramatic and intense storyline centered around the wedding of Carla and Lisa Swain. It was the kind of event-driven storytelling that Corrie does so brilliantly when it fires on all cylinders. Multiple suspects, a ticking clock, a guest list full of complicated characters, and a tantalizing promise that someone was not going to make it out alive. Viewers were gripped. Social media was flooded with theories. And then, finally, the answer came. The body discovered by Betsy Swain in that alleyway on what should have been the happiest day of Carla and Lisa's lives belonged to none other than Theo Silverton. The villain was dead. And just like that, one of the soap's most compelling and deeply uncomfortable characters was gone. Found cold in the shadows while the wedding guests were none the wiser, just streets away. For those who may have missed Theo's journey on the show, here's the context you need. James Cartwright joined the cast of Coronation Street in March 2025, playing Theo Silverton, a married scaffolder who, on the surface, seemed like a perfectly ordinary addition to the street. But very quickly, the layers began to peel back. Theo had been hiding his sexuality for years, suppressed largely due to a strict religious upbringing and, chillingly, his experiences with conversion therapy. His relationship with Todd Grimshaw drew him out of the shadows and into one of the soap's most sensitive and emotionally layered storylines in recent times. But Theo wasn't simply a sympathetic figure. As the months wore on, the character darkened considerably, and therein lay the genius of both the writing and Cartwright's performance. Theo evolved into something far more sinister, an abuser whose actions sent shockwaves through the lives of those around him on the cobbles. He became someone who made the audience deeply uncomfortable, which, when done right, is exactly what great soap storytelling is supposed to do. By the time Murder Week arrived, Theo Silverton had well and truly cemented himself on the list of characters that viewers, while perhaps not mourning, are unlikely to forget in a hurry. Now, speaking exclusively with Soap Scoop, the podcast from Inside Soap, James Cartwright has opened up about life after Corrie and teased the projects that are keeping him busy now that his time on the show has come to an end. And honestly, the man does not appear to be taking a moment's rest. First and foremost, Cartwright is heading back to a world that has been part of his life for well over a decade. He's been playing Police Sergeant Harrison Burns in BBC Radio 4's beloved long-running soap The Archers since 2014. 12 years of inhabiting the same character in a very different world from the cobblestones of Weatherfield. The Archers, for those unfamiliar, is the world's longest-running soap opera, a remarkable institution of British broadcasting that has been going strong since 1951. While the show was kind enough to give Cartwright the time away to take on his Coronation Street role, he's now confirmed he'll be returning to the village of Ambridge, and he spoke about the contrast between the two soaps with genuine warmth and a brilliant sense of humor. He described Ambridge as a considerably quieter place than Weatherfield, noting with a laugh that the most dramatic storyline he'd recently encountered over on the Archers involved the case of missing bunting. High stakes, he acknowledged, just a slightly different vibe from domestic violence and murder. The contrast, he describes, tells you something important about the range James Cartwright brings to his work. Here is a man who can portray a deeply unsettling abuser on primetime ITV and then slip seamlessly back into the gently rolling drama of rural England on Radio 4 and make both feel utterly authentic. That's a rare quality, and it's one that has defined his career long before he ever set foot on those famous cobbles. But returning to the Archers is just part of the picture, because Cartwright also revealed during the Soap Scoop interview that he's been asked to take on the lead role in a William Shakespeare play, set to take place later this year. Now, and this is where things get wonderfully tantalizing, he was deliberately tight-lipped about which of the Bard's works he'll be stepping into. He confirmed it's Shakespeare, he confirmed it's the lead, and then he said absolutely nothing else on the matter. Whether it's tragedy, comedy, or one of the great histories, we simply don't know yet. And that mystery alone is already generating a fair amount of discussion among his fans and followers online. What we do know is that this theatrical ambition is nothing new for Cartwright. His stage credentials are genuinely impressive. He made his stage debut in the Olivier Award-winning production of Alan Bennett's The History Boys at the National Theatre. He went on to win the Scotsman Fringe First Award in 2015 for his work in the one-man play Raz, which later transferred to the Trafalgar Studios in London. He was nominated for Best Leading Actor in a West End production for his role in Passing By. He also won a Royal Television Society Award for Best Leading Actor for his portrayal of Johnny in the BBC production Johnny Shakespeare. This is not an actor coasting along on soap credits. This is someone with serious theatrical and television pedigree who has been quietly building one of the most varied and impressive CVs in British entertainment. And the fan reaction to his time on Coronation Street reflects that. When Cartwright first joined the show and began discussing the storyline ahead of its broadcast, he described the response from viewers as fabulous across the board. The storyline around Theo's hidden sexuality, his background with conversion therapy, and his complicated, eventually toxic relationship with Todd Grimshaw generated significant discussion, not just among Corrie fans, but in wider conversations about the soap's responsibility to handle sensitive subjects with care. By most accounts, Cartwright delivered. He made Theo frightening precisely because he also made him understandable, which is a far more difficult thing to achieve than simply playing a pantomime villain. As for what happens next within the show itself, the mystery is far from over. While Theo's body has been found, the question of who actually killed him remains wide open. The whodunit element of Murder Week is still very much in play, and with a cast full of characters who had very good reason to want Theo gone, the coming weeks on Coronation Street promise to be every bit as gripping as the build-up. As for James Cartwright's involvement going forward, his main stint on the soap does appear to be finished, though, as one report noted, a ghost appearance of some kind can never be entirely ruled out. Soap operas have a long and entertaining history of finding creative ways to bring characters back, even from beyond the grave. What this whole chapter demonstrates, perhaps more than anything else, is the quality of actor that Coronation Street continues to attract. James Cartwright brought something genuinely special to the show during his time on it, a performance that balanced vulnerability with menace, charm with threat, in a way that kept viewers completely on their toes from one week to the next. The fact that he's walking away from Weatherfield with a Shakespeare lead role and a return to one of Britain's most beloved broadcasting institutions says everything about the kind of career he has built, and a kind of career that clearly still has plenty of road ahead of it. So, to sum it all up, Theo Silverton is dead, discovered in an alleyway on the day of Carla and Lisa's wedding, bringing one of Coronation Street's most intense storylines of recent years to a dramatic close. James Cartwright, the man who played him with such unflinching commitment, is now looking ahead to a return to the Archers after 12 years as P.C. Harrison Burns, and a lead role in a Shakespeare production later this year that has yet to be officially named. Meanwhile, back on the street, the question of who killed Theo remains unanswered, keeping viewers firmly hooked and the conversation very much alive. It has been quite a ride, and something tells us that whether we're watching James Cartwright tread the boards in a Shakespeare tragedy or listening out for Harrison Burns on a quiet evening on Radio 4, we haven't heard the last of this particular talent by a very long way. So what do you think? Were you gripped by Theo Silverton's storyline on Coronation Street? And which Shakespeare play do you reckon James Cartwright will be taking on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely love reading what you have to say. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. It really does help the channel more than you might think. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time. We've got loads more Coronation Street news, cast updates, and storyline breakdowns coming your way very soon. We'll see you in the next one.